Welcome to the 2300 Pick Six podcast. I'm your host, Dave Walker, about to do NFL schedule analysis and the start of the season 4 podcast for the 2300 Pick Six podcast. So, what's going on, folks? We're going to start right now with schedule analysis. There's going to be a couple changes with this format. So, we're going to start right now. I'm actually going to be streaming games this year on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays. Pending maybe Black Friday I can't do it because I don't know if I'm going to go to Dallas for that game, but we'll wait and see. But we're going to be streaming games. Some people will come on. We'll have some new guests on here, same ones before, such as Joe Law, Wolf, and whomever else I can think of. If anybody else is going to want to join, but since if you're new to this channel, we're going to explain how this is with the schedule analysis. Is how I pick them. So if it's the first one is an NFC card, it's an NFC team. If it's, for example, could be the Washington Commanders. NFL card means could be any team, and I choose. AFC, an AFC team. Wild card, my choice. Draw 2 means 2 cards that I pick. Draw 4 are any 4 that I pick. Reverse, it stays in that division. Wild card, same as before. And a skip card means that team will not be done, and then after the final 4 are done or whatever, we'll reveal what that team is because it's a mystery and I don't know what it could be. So all in all, we're going to shuffle this deck, and then we're going to start. Oh, give me 1 sec. I got to grab my notepad for this. Ugh. And a pen. There's going to be a lot of editing done later on tonight. Where's my headphones? Alrighty there. We're back. And we're going to shuffle this deck, and we're going to see which of the first 4 it's going to be. Bear in mind, I'm not the greatest shuffler in the world. And if I got some more money, I would buy a auto shuffler like they have the casinos. All right, we're going to start. First one's going to be, it's a reverse. So this is the first time this has occurred. So I will decide which one it will be. So let's see who I decide it will be. I'll start with the Denver Broncos. We're going to do that one. For the Denver Broncos, they made some good moves getting Jalen Waddle away from the Dolphins. It came very, very close to winning an AFC championship had Bo Nix not had got injured against the Bills, and which was a very sucky AFC championship game against the Patriots, which was the very worst. But right now, this is a team that is built on revenge, and this is a Bo Nix revenge tour. And for this is also one of my Super Bowl picks, which I'll talk about at the end, who my Super Bowl picks will be, who's going to make it, and how far they'll go and win their division. But we're going to start off with the Denver Broncos first with their schedule. And I'll give you my record prediction with that. So we're going to pull up the Broncos schedule right now on my phone. Give me a sec here. That's great. I'll just do it this way. Broncos schedule. Lord, I keep so many tabs open. All right, give me a second. We're going to pull up the Broncos schedule. All righty, so we're going to start with the first game of the season for the Denver Broncos. They play against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. This would be Mahomes coming back. I do believe that these two teams are going to split. I'm going to go with Denver. They're going to spoil Mahomes' homecoming back. So they're going to go 1-0. Next one they have is against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. They get a win there. They'll get their revenge. They're going to be 2-0. Against the LA Rams on Sunday Night Football, which is going to be a very good game, and it could be a defensive battle with the Rams now having Myles Garrett in Mile High. If this game would have been in LA, I would have took the Rams, but since this is going to be in Denver, I'm going to take the Broncos on this one. They're going to be 3-0. Against the 49ers in San Francisco, Eberflus is not the best as a defensive coordinator, and since now Robert Saleh has gone to the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to say the Broncos get a win here. They're going to be 4-0. Against the Chargers in LA, This one I'm going to call a fuck you game and a humbling here. So I think they're going to take a loss to the Chargers here. They're going to get humbled, and this is going to be a fuck you game. Against Seattle, both have very good defenses, but this one being in Mile High, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos on this one, very close. Against the Arizona Cardinals, a win. Against the Chiefs get their revenge from week 1. There's going to be a split. They get that win. Carolina Panthers, I'm going to go with a shock upset here because the Panthers were very, very good at home last year, and they did pull up a lot of upsets that nobody saw coming. And I'm going to console this one an upset here. So they're going to take 2 losses. They're going to be at 2 losses right now. Against the Raiders, they're going to bounce back and get a win there. Against the Steelers, they're going to get a win there. Against Miami, Jalen Waddle is going to torch his old team. That is a win right there. Against the New York Jets, that is another win. They will sweep the Raiders. Against the Bills in Denver, they get the win there. Against the Patriots, I say a loss there. That's going to be a humble right there. The Patriots get that win and a humble. And against the Chargers in the end, they get the win there. So an overall breakdown of their record is 1-0 against the Chiefs, 2-0 against the Jaguars, 3-0 against the Rams, 4-0 against the 49ers, 4-1 against the Chargers, 5-1 against the Seahawks, 6-1 against the Arizona Cardinals, 6-2 against the Chiefs, 6-3 against Carolina, 7-3 against the Raiders, 8-3 against the Steelers, 9-3 against Miami, 10-3 against the Jets, 11-3 against the Raiders, 12-3 against the Bills, 12-4 against New England. So I'm going to say 13-4 they're going to go. So the Broncos are going to go 13-4. Next one. Draw 2. So let's see what 2 it's going to be. 1, 2. All right, so it's a wild card. It's my pick. So let's see what I'm going to pick here. So we did Denver. So this is going to be my pick here. We are going to pick the New England Patriots. I'm going to pick here. Patriots right now bouncing back. A season that I didn't expect them to go to the Super Bowl. Drake May had an MVP year. Now, a lot of people can argue, was it an easy schedule? Was it coaching? Was it veteran leadership from Stephon Diggs? We don't know. But right now, Stephon Diggs is no longer there. But they did make a trade to get A.J. Brown from the Eagles, which is going to help A.J. Brown reuniting with Mike Vrabel. They have a good receiving core with Kayshon Boutte, Pop Douglas, Hunter Henry, and now A.J. Brown. Running back-wise, very good with Ramondre Stevenson and Trayvon Henderson. Defense-wise, a little bit, we don't know. But right now, can the Patriots prove that this wasn't a fluke and it wasn't an easy schedule? And can they go back to the Super Bowl again to see if they can win it? But we don't know. But right now, we're going to break down the Patriots schedule right now. Okay. So for the Patriots schedule right now, they have their first game on Thursday Night Football. Well, actually Wednesday night, because Thursday night we're gonna have the Australia game. So actually it's Wednesday night, and that game I will be at a casino for the Thursday night game going to stream. So the first game they're gonna have against the Seattle in Seattle. Unfortunately, that is gonna be a loss right there. I don't think they're gonna beat the Seahawks. They're gonna be 0-1. Against the Steelers, that is a win right there at home. The Patriots can handle the Steelers, even though now the Steelers have Mike McCarthy as their coach. The Steelers will get the win. The Patriots will get their win there. They're gonna be 1-1. In Jacksonville, Jacksonville is good in Duval. They do good at home. So I am actually going to take the Jags in this one. They're going to be 1-2 right now. Against Buffalo, in Buffalo, that one will be a loss. They're going to be 1-3. Against the Raiders, they're going to bounce back. They're going to get a win there. They're going to be 2-3. Against the Jets, that's a win. They're going to be 3-3. Against the Bears in Chicago, it's not easy. And the Bears do win close at home. So they are going to lose. Unfortunately, they're going to lose to the Bears. Against Miami, they're going to bounce back. They're going to get a win there. Against the Packers, they're going to get a win there. Against Detroit, this is one of those international games. I think they're going to lose to Detroit. They're going to lose to the Lions. Against the Chargers, that will be a win. I think they bounce back there, and I think the Chargers will charter that game. Against Buffalo, that will be a split. Against the Vikings, even if it is J.J. McCarthy or Kyler Murray, that one I see as a win. Against the Chiefs in Kansas City, I think that will be a loss. They bounce back against the Jets. Against Denver, they get a win, they humble, and against Miami, they get a win there. So the Patriots record is going to be, they're going to be 0-1 against the Seahawks, 1-1 against Pittsburgh, 1-2 against Jacksonville, 1-3 against Buffalo, 2-3 against the Raiders, 3-3 against the Jets, 3-4 against Chicago, 4-4 against Miami, 5-4 against the Packers, 5-5 against Detroit, 6-5 against the Chargers, 7-5 against Buffalo, 8-5 against the Vikings, 8-6 against the Chiefs, 9-6 against the Jets, 10-6 against Denver. So I have the Patriots going 11-6. So they'll make the playoffs. They're probably going to get as a walkover. Maybe win their division. I don't know, but we'll wait and see. Next one is a skip card, so we're going to see who's getting skipped. So we'll wait in the end. All right, well, it's a draw too, so because it's a skip, that card is getting skipped. So we'll figure out what the next one is. Another reverse. We're going to stay in the division with the Patriots. Because if it was a team, I would have told you, but since it's a draw two is going to get skipped. So our next one is going to stay in that division with the Patriots. So we will go with the Buffalo Bills. All righty, so with the Bills, they made moves. They did get a receiver in getting DJ Moore from Chicago. They fired Sean McDermott. So now we're going to figure out with the Bills, who was at fault. Now, if the Bills make it to a Super Bowl, I'm not saying they have to win it. If they make it to a Super Bowl, then it was all McDermott's fault. But if it's yet again, Josh Allen is either 2-done or losing in a championship, then it is Josh Allen's fault. But if Josh Allen gets injured, then we don't know what the answer to that question would be. But right now, we're going to break down the Bills' schedule right now. Here we go. We're going to do the Buffalo Bills schedule. All right, so the Bills' schedule. Week 1, they will be playing against the Texans. I'm saying a loss. The Texans have handled Josh Allen very, very well. And in Houston, I see Houston pulling off this upset going to 1-0. So right now, the Bills are going to be 0-1. Against Detroit at home, both very good teams. Could possibly be maybe a Super Bowl matchup. Possibly. I don't know. I'm not saying the Bills will be a Super Bowl pick. They're not. I can't trust them right now. So as of this moment, it's a homecoming. They're opening their new stadium. The Bills are good at home on Thursday night. So I say the Bills get a win here close. So I'm going to say close, the Bills get a win. Against the Chargers, that is a win. Against the Patriots, that is a win. Against the Rams, I'm going to say a loss with Myles Garrett and in LA. That is a loss. They're going to take a loss there. They bounce back against the Raiders. Against the Ravens, they get a win. Against the Vikings, they will get a win. Even if it's in Minnesota, but regardless of JJ or Kyler Murray, they're going to beat them. Against the Jets, a win. Against Miami, a win. Against the Chiefs on Thanksgiving on Thursday Night Football, that is going to be a good game. That is a win. Against the Patriots, that is a loss. They split. Against the Packers, a win. Against the Bears, a win. Against the Broncos, a loss. Against the Dolphins, a win. And against the Jets, a win. So Buffalo's record is going to be the Texans 0-1, 1-1 against Detroit, 2-1 against the Chargers, 3-1 against the Patriots, 3-2 against LA, against the Rams. Let's do this again. Bloopers right there. So 0-1 against Houston, 1-1 against Detroit, 2-1 against the Chargers, 3-1 against the Patriots, 3-2 against the LA Rams, 4-2 against the Raiders, 5-2 against Baltimore, 6-2 against the Vikings, 7-2 against the Jets, 8-2 against the Dolphins, 9-2 against the Chiefs, 9-3 against the Patriots, which would be a humbling, 10-3 against the Packers, 11-3 against the Bears, 11-4 against Denver, 12-4 against the Dolphins. So I have them going 13-4. Now, I don't know how far they're going to go in the playoffs. Is it going to be same old Bills getting 2-done again in the divisional or losing in a championship and choking? But if they make it to the Super Bowl, then it was McDermott's fault. But we'll wait and see what occurs during this season. Okay, next one we got is, cards are falling down here. Let's see who we got. Let's see what we got here. The San Francisco 49ers are the third team on the list. Okay, so with the 49ers, and yes, we are still going to keep the George Kittle joke, folks. For those new out there that don't know what that is, George Kittle has an obsession with WWE superstar Bayley, and he salivates over like a lovesick puppy dog. I know that after being at WrestleMania in Vegas when he literally couldn't chug a beer the right way. Regardless, I don't know when he's coming back because, yes, he is recovering from an ACL injury, so I don't know exactly when he is going to be back just in time. So we'll wait and see when his injury. So I'm actually going to look up when he is, if he's going to be, if he's already hasn't been at OTAs just yet or at a mini camp, if he's going to be there for mandatory mini camp. So let's see about George Kittle because George Kittle tore his ACL in the wild card against the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs. So let me see what his injury status is. Is he going to be available week 1? So he's aiming to come back for week 1. So we'll see what happens. So we're going to pull out the 49ers schedule. Okay, so the 49ers' first game of the season is against in Australia on, I thought they played in Australia. Oh, September. Yeah, so their first game is in Australia. Yeah, is in Australia against the LA Rams. Don't know how this field's going to be. The Rams getting Myles Garrett is a plus. I think the Rams get a win here. They're going to be 0-1. Against the Dolphins, they're going to bounce back. Against the Cardinals, they're going to get a win there. So right there, they get a win. Against Denver, they're going to lose right there. In Seattle, that one will be a loss. Against the Commanders, a win. Against the Atlanta Falcons, a win. Against the Las Vegas Raiders, a win. Against Dallas, that is a loss. This time you're going into Dallas. Dallas has a new defensive coordinator, and they're really going to make Eberflus look like a jackass in that game. So that is a loss. Against the Vikings, that will be a win. They bounce back. Oh, they also did get Mike Evans to win a trade with Tampa, so they do have receiver and weapons. Brandon Ayuk is no longer there, so I don't know where the hell he's going to go to. Against Seattle, I'm going to say a humbling. They get back at Seattle and they get a win here. They humble Seattle. Against the Smurfs, that is a win. Against the Rams, I'm going to say a split there because I think they may humble the Rams. Against the Chargers, a win. Against the Chiefs, that is a loss. Against Philadelphia in in San Francisco. Philly does not do good in San Francisco. And I know Philadelphia is looking for blood in that game. And usually at this time, I don't know now with the whole A.J. Brown situation, how Philly's going to do when I break down that one. I'm going to say that one will be a win. And against the Cardinals, a win. So a breakdown of the 49ers record is they're going to be 0-1. They're going to be 1-1 against the Dolphins. They're going to be 2-1 against the Cardinals. They're going to be 2-2 when they lose to the Broncos. They're going to be 2-3 against Seattle. 3-3 against the Commanders, 4-3 against the Falcons, 5-3 against the Raiders, 5-4 against Dallas, 6-4 against Minnesota, 7-4 against Seattle, 8-4 against the 49ers, against the Giants, 9-4 against the Rams, 10-4 against the Chargers, 10-5 against the Chiefs, 11-5 against the Eagles. So they're going to go 12-5. Now, I don't know how far they may make it in the playoff, but I don't know if they're going to win the division. But I think it's going to be a three-way race between them. So I'm not going to count out the 49ers. Yes, getting Mike Evans helps them a bit because with Brandon Ayuk gone, and literally, I don't know who else their receiver is going to be, either Juwan Jennings or DeMario or Ricky Pearsall or whoever. But we're going to wait and see. And our final team. We'll see who it is. So reverse. We're going to stay in that division after the 49ers. So we're going to pick is There to get to the list. It will be the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle won the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold of all people, which is a shocker. I didn't see that happening. Kenneth Walker is no longer there. He has been traded off to the Kansas City Chiefs. So now Zach Charbonnet is your number one running back, pending how he will be coming off of his injury in the Super Bowl. Off of his injury. But we'll wait and see how Seattle does. This team has a good defense with D-Law and Lilly with a good offense. Now, can Sam Darnold repeat what he did? Can Smith and Jigba still put up the same numbers that he did? We'll wait and see what occurs. But for the Seattle Seahawks schedule, we're going to pull up right now. And it's taking a while here. There we go. All right, Seattle's schedule is, so we got week 1. They play against the New England Patriots at home. With that game, I said that would be a win. That is going to be a win. I'm not going to change my stance on that. They're going to be 1-0. Against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona, that is a win. They will be 2-0. Against the Washington Commanders, defense is going to get to Jaden Daniels. They're going to be 3-0. Against the Chargers, in Seattle, I think they would get to Herbert. I think the Chargers would charge that game. Somehow they're going to be 4-0. Against San Francisco, they get a win there. They're going to be 5-0. The first loss is going to come against the Denver Broncos going into Mile High. Then against the Chiefs, they have a bye week. This is where I think Mahomes would get screwed over in Seattle because usually at times screwy shit happens at night in Seattle. That one I think that the Chiefs are going to get screwed over and they're going to lose to the Seahawks. So the Seahawks get a win there. Against Chicago, that is a win at home. Against Arizona, another win. Against the Raiders, a win. Against the 49ers, they're going to get humbled and they're going to take a loss. Against Dallas on Monday Night Football, we never do good in Seattle. That is going to be a win for Seattle. Against the Smurfs, that is a win. Against Philadelphia on a Saturday night at 5 o'clock, Philadelphia has its problems against the Seahawks, and unfortunately, I think that those problems are going to consist again. Against the Rams at home, that is a win. Against the Panthers, I'm going to say the Panthers pull off an upset here because, like I said again, the Panthers pulled off a lot of upsets at home that nobody saw coming, and I could see this one being one of those upsets. And then against the Rams, I could see this game possibly being the battle for the division and possibly maybe for a 1 seed or whatever. But I think that one will be a loss to them. But a breakdown out of this, it will be 1-0 against the Patriots, 2-0 against the Arizona Cardinals, 3-0 against the Washington Commanders, 4-0 against the Chargers, 5-0 against San Fran, 5-1 against Denver, 6-1 against the Chiefs, 7-1 against the Bears, 8-1 against the Arizona Cardinals, 9-1 against the Raiders, 9-2 against the 49ers, 10-2 against Dallas, 11-2 against the Giants, 12-2 against the Eagles, 13-2 against the Rams, 13-3 against the Panthers, and 13-4. I have the final record for the Seattle Seahawks. We'll wait and see how far I have that team going when I make my playoff predictions down the road. All in all, before I end this show, if you want to follow us, we are at the 2300 Pick 6 podcast page on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube. We have our page. If you want to follow, let us know. If you want to come on, give us a shout out and give us a subscription on there. I'll post the link in the description later on. Link will be in the description if you want to follow and subscribe to us. But all in all, before I end and call it a night, it's just been enough time for talk. It's time for kickoff. I'm Dave Walker, and we'll see you on the field. Good night, everybody. Possibility I might do another show, and it could be either this Saturday or maybe this Sunday. I don't know yet. I got to see how I'm feeling that day, what I'm going to do. We'll wait and see. But good night, everybody, and God bless.